for solving the problem. Now, if the student makes a mistake, and this will surprise people who think large language models are not good at mathematics, notice not only does it notice the mistake, it asks the student to explain their reasoning, but it's actually doing what I would say not just even an average tutor would do, but an excellent tutor would do. It's able to divine what is probably the misconception in that student's mind, that they probably didn't use the distributive properly. Remember, we need to distribute the -2 to both the 9 and the 2m inside of the parentheses. This to me is a very, very, very big deal, and it's not just in math. This is a computer programming exercise on Khan Academy where the student needs to make the clouds part. And so we can see the student starts defining a variable, left x minus minus. It only made the left cloud part, but then they can ask Khan Migo, what's going on? Why is only the left cloud moving? And it understands the code. It knows all the context of what the student is doing, and it understands that those ellipses are there to draw clouds, which I think is kind of mind-blowing. And it says, to make the right cloud move as well, try adding a line of code inside the draw function that increments the right x variable by 1 pixel in each frame. Now, this one is maybe even more amazing because we have a lot of math teachers. We've all been trying to teach the world to code, but there aren't a lot of computing teachers out there. And what you just saw, even when I'm tutoring my kids when they're learning to code, I can't help them this well, this fast. This is really going to be a super tutor. And it's not just exercises, it understands what you're watching. It understands the context of your video. It can answer the age-old question, why do I need to learn this? And it asks Socratically, well, what do you care about? And let's say the student says, I want to be a professional athlete. And it says, well, learning about the size of cells, which is what this video is on, that could be really useful for understanding nutrition and how your body works, etc. It can answer questions, it can quiz you, it can connect it to other ideas. You can now ask as many questions of a video as you could ever dream of. So, another big shortage out there, I remember the high school I went to, the student to guidance counselor ratio was about 200 or 300 to 1. In a lot of the country, it's worse than that. We can use Khanmigo to give every student a guidance counselor, academic coach, career coach, life coach, which is exactly what you see right over here. And this is all, we launched this with the GPT-4 launch. We have a few thousand people on this. This isn't a fake demo. This is really it in action. And then there's things that I think it would have been even hard, it would have been a little science fiction to do with even a traditional tutor. There's a student, we run an online high school with Arizona State University called Khan World School, and we have a student who attends that online school based in India, her name is Sanvi, and she was doing a report on The Great Gatsby. And when she was reading The Great Gatsby, Jay Gatsby keeps looking at the green light off into the distance. And she's like, well, why does he do that? She did some web searches, and people have obviously studied this and commented about the symbolism of that, but none of it was really resonating with her. And then she realized that she had Khanmigo and that she could talk to Jay Gatsby himself. And so, splendid choice, old sport. I am now Jay Gatsby, the enigmatic millionaire from F. Scott Fitzgerald's Classic. And so why do you keep staring at the green light? The green light, old sport. It's a symbol of my dreams and desires, you see. It's situated at the end of Daisy Buchanan's dock, across the bay from my mansion. I gaze at it longingly as it represents my yearning for the past and my hope to reunite with Daisy, the love of my life. And what was cool is, Sanvi had said, I had this long conversation. She called him Mr. Gatsby. And at the end, she actually apologized for taking his time, which I thought was very polite of her. But you can imagine this unlocks learning literature, learning, you could talk to historical figures. We're even probably going to add an activity. You can talk to like the Mississippi River. It brings things to life in ways that really were science fiction even 6 months or a year ago. Students can get into debates with the AI. And we've got, this here's the students debating whether we should cancel student debt. The student is against canceling student debt. And we've gotten very clear feedback. We started running it at Khan World School in our lab school that we have, Khan Lab School. The students, the high school students especially, they're saying, this is amazing to be able to fine-tune my arguments without fearing judgment. It makes me that much more confident to kind of go into the classroom and really participate. And we all know that Socratic dialogue debate is a great way to learn, but frankly, it's not out there for most students, but now it can be accessible to hopefully everyone. A lot of the narrative, we saw that in the headlines, has been It's going to do the writing for kids. Kids are not going to learn to write. But we are showing that there's ways that the AI doesn't write for you, it writes with you. So this is a little thing, and my 8-year-old is addicted to this, and he's not a kid that really liked writing before, but where, you could say, I want to write a horror story. And it says, ooh, a horror story, how spine-tingling and thrilling. Let's dive into the world of eerie shadows and chilling mysteries. And this is an activity where the student will write 2 sentences, and then the AI will write 2 sentences. And so they collaborate together on a story. The student writes, Beatrice was a misunderstood ghost. She wanted to make friends, but kept scaring them by accident. And the AI says, poor Beatrice, a lonely spirit yearning for companionship. One day she stumbled upon an old abandoned mansion, etc., etc. I encourage y'all to, hopefully one day try this. This is surprisingly fun. Now, to even more directly hit this use case, and what I'm about to show you, everything I showed you so far is actually already part of Conmigo. What I'm about to show you, we haven't shown to anyone yet. This is a prototype. We hope to be able to launch it in the next few months. But this is to directly use AI, use generative AI, to not undermine English and language arts, but to actually enhance it in ways that we couldn't have even conceived of even a year ago. This is reading comprehension. The student's reading Steve Jobs' famous speech at Stanford. And then as they get to certain points, they can click on that little question, and the AI will then Socratically, almost like an oral exam, ask the student about things. And the AI can highlight parts of the passage. Why did the author use that word? What was their intent? Does it back up their argument? They can start to do stuff that, once again, we never had the capability to give everyone a tutor, everyone a writing coach to actually dig into reading at this level. And you could go on the other side of it. We have a whole workflows that helps them write, helps them be a writing coach, draw an outline. But once a student actually constructs a draft, and this is where they're constructing a draft, they can ask for feedback, once again, as you would expect from a good writing coach. In this case, the student will say, let's say, does my evidence support my claim? And then the AI not only is able to give feedback, but it's able to highlight certain parts of the passage and says, on this passage, this doesn't quite support your claim, but once again, Socratically says, can you tell us why? So it's pulling the student, it's making them a better writer, giving them far more feedback than they've ever been able to actually get before. And we think this is going to dramatically accelerate writing, not hurt it. Now, everything I've talked about so far is for the student, but we think this could be equally as powerful for the teacher to drive more personalized education and, frankly, save time and energy for themselves and for their students. So this is an American history exercise on Khan Academy. It's a question about the Spanish-American War. And at first, it's in student mode. And if you say, tell me the answer, it's not going to tell the answer. It's going to go into tutoring mode. But that little toggle, which teachers have access to, they can turn student mode off. And then it goes into teacher mode. And what this does is it turns into, you could view it as a teacher's guide on steroids. Not only can it explain the answer, it can explain how you might want to teach it. It can help prepare the teacher for that material. It can help them create lesson plans, as you could see doing right there. It'll eventually help them create progress reports, to help them eventually grade. So once again, teachers spend about half their time with this type of activity, lesson planning. All of that energy can go back to them or go back to human interactions with their actual students. So, one point I want to make, these large language models are so powerful, there's a temptation to say, like, well, all these people are just going to slap them onto their websites, and it kind of turns the applications themselves into commodities. And what I got to tell you is I kind of thought that's one of the reasons why I didn't sleep for 2 weeks when I first had access to GPT-4 back in August. But we quickly realized that to actually make it magical, I think what you saw with Conmigo a little bit, it didn't interact with you the way that you see ChatGPT interacting. It was a little bit more magical, it was more Socratic, it was clearly much better at math than what most people are used to thinking. And the reason is there was a lot of work behind the scenes to make that happen. And I could go through the whole list of everything we've been working on, many people, for over 6-7 months to make it feel magical. But perhaps the most intellectually interesting one is we realized, and this was an idea from an OpenAI researcher, that we could dramatically improve its ability in math and its ability in tutoring if we allowed the AI to think before it speaks. So if you're tutoring someone and you immediately just start talking before you assess their math, you might not get it right. But if you construct thoughts for yourself, and what you see on the right there is an actual AI thought, something that it generates for itself, but it does not share with the student. Then its accuracy went up dramatically, and its ability to be a world-class tutor went up dramatically. And you can see it's talking to itself here. It says, the student got a different answer than I did, but do not tell them they made a mistake. Instead, ask them to explain how they got to that step. So I'll just finish off. Hopefully, what I've just shown you is just half of what we are working on, and we think this is just the very tip of the iceberg of where this can actually go. And I'm pretty convinced, which I wouldn't have been even a year ago, that we together have a chance of addressing the 2 sigma problem and turning it into a 2 sigma opportunity, dramatically accelerating education as we know it. Now, just to take a step back at a meta level, obviously we heard a lot today, the debates on either side. There's folks who take a more pessimistic view of AI. They say this is scary. There's all these dystopian scenarios. We maybe want to slow down. We want to pause. On the other side, there are the more optimistic folks who say, well, we've gone through inflection points before. We've gone through the Industrial Revolution. It was scary, but it all kind of worked out. And what I'd argue right now is I don't think this is like a flip of a coin, or this is something where we'll just have to wait and see which way it turns out. I think everyone here and beyond, we are active participants in this decision. I'm pretty convinced that the first line of reasoning is actually almost a self-fulfilling prophecy, that if we act with fear, and if we say, hey, we just got to stop doing this stuff, what's really going to happen is the rule followers might pause, might slow down, but the rule breakers, as Alexander mentioned, the totalitarian governments, the criminal organizations, they're only going to accelerate, and that leads to what I am pretty convinced is the dystopian state, which is the good actors have worse AIs than the bad actors. But I'll also, talk to the optimists a little bit. I don't think that means that, oh yeah, then we should just relax and just hope for the best. That might not happen either. I think all of us together have to fight like hell to make sure that we put the guardrails, we put in, when the problems arise, reasonable regulations, but we fight like hell for the positive use cases. Because very close to my heart, and obviously there's many potential positive use cases, but perhaps the most powerful use case, and perhaps the most poetic use case, is if AI, artificial intelligence, can be used to enhance HI, human intelligence, human potential, and human purpose. Thank you.
From Kenya to Colombia, from Iraq to Korea, in slums, in schools, in prisons, and in theaters, every day people gather at TEDx events around the world to hear the best ideas bubbling up in their communities. Today, you are part of a global conversation about our shared future. So what is this TEDx? TEDx is an initiative of the TED Conference, a non-profit devoted to ideas worth spreading. We grant free licenses to allow TED-like events to spread globally. This event today is based on the TED Conference format and ideals, but is independently organized by your local community. So please make sure to thank the team of volunteers who worked so hard on today's event. It's their ideas, dedication, and time that made it all possible. It's they who booked all the speakers, and the views you'll hear today are, of course, those of those speakers, not necessarily of TEDs. But we hope their talks spark an exciting conversation among you. This is a day for curiosity and for skepticism, for openness and for critical thinking, for inspiration and for action. The more you enter into it, the more you'll take out. And now, on with the show.
Good evening, and welcome to TEDx Jumps Wellington Academy Al Khail. I'm Renat Osman.
And I'm Gaurav Lamba.
Gaurav and I are delighted to be your hosts for this evening.
To launch the proceedings, we'd like to invite on stage the organizer of this TEDx conference, Mr. Rohan Roberts, to say a few words. Mr. Roberts is the Director of Innovation and Future Learning at the Academy. He has organized 8 TEDx events in the past. In 2015, for demonstrated excellence as an innovative thinker and doer, he was invited to TED Global in Geneva. Please welcome on stage Mr. Rohan Roberts.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to TEDx James Wellington Academy Al Khail. I'm Rohan Roberts, the organizer of today's event, and I'm thrilled to open what promises to be an evening of bold ideas and radical imagination. I'd like to start by highlighting the difference between TED and TEDx. TED stands for Technology, Entertainment, and Design. It is perhaps one of the most influential global platforms devoted to ideas worth spreading. No doubt many of you have listened to TED Talks by Nobel laureates, scientists, artists, activists, and really some of the most incredible thinkers and doers on the planet. TEDx, on the other hand, is a grassroots initiative created in the spirit of TED's overall mission of ideas worth spreading. TEDx events are locally and independently organized under license from TED. Every year, over 3,000 TEDx events are held in over 130 countries around the world. This year, for the 5th year now, we have a license to host our own TEDx event, which is happening here this evening. This year's theme, Digital Mindscape, invites us to explore the evolving landscape of human thought in a hyper-connected digital world. The various speakers you'll hear from will no doubt inspire, challenge, and perhaps even provoke you as they examine the impact of digital technologies on everything from language to learning, creativity, communication, justice, and well-being. But let's zoom out for a moment. I'd like to share with you why we chose this as our theme. The fact is, with the advent of AI, a new form of intelligence has awakened in the universe. Yes, we have created it, but it will soon surpass every single one of us. Now, Ray Kurzweil is the former director of engineering at Google. He's been described by Bill Gates as one of the best predictors of future technologies in the world today. Ray points out that in the next 100 years, we will see the equivalent of 20,000 years worth of technological progress. By 2045, a $1,000 computer will be more intelligent than every single human brain in history thinking together at the same time. AI tutors will outperform human teachers in most subjects, not decades from now, but by the late 2020s. And with AI-driven virtual schools, every child on Earth could have access to world-class education within 15 years. This is the scale of global transformation that we're stepping into, and that's what this evening is about. It's not just about listening to talks. It's also about challenging assumptions, sparking dialogue, and really expanding how we think about the future. So, I'd encourage you to lean in, listen deeply, and above all, question the things you hear this evening. On that note, I'd now like to leave you with a short video called It's Time for TED. Welcome once again, and thank you for coming.
Wonder, insight, ideas. It's time for TED.
We can change the world if we defy the impossible.
We have the tools, we have the passion.
We can be more, we can be much more.
Let's turn the world inside out. It's just the beginning.
We have achieved remarkable things. We can be more, we can be much more.
Science is clever, but great creativity is more magical. And now we need that magic.
The miracle of your mind, it's that you can see the world as it isn't. We can imagine the future, we can remember the past. The miracle of your mind, it's that you can see the world as it isn't. We can imagine what it's like to be some other person in some other place.
Take a moment, take a breath.
I'm a believer.
The science is clear.
We have to get off of oil. We owe it to our children and grandchildren. I'm a believer.
We can't just drill our way out. We can't just bomb our way out. We're gonna invent our way out, working together. We need to think big, we need to think cheap. We need to think about the problem differently.
Wonder, insight, ideas. It's time for TED.
The miracle of your mind, it's that you can see the world as it isn't. We can imagine the future, we can remember the past. The miracle of your mind, it's that you can see the world as it isn't. We can imagine what it's like to be some other person in some other place.
Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on.
The city of the future calls on you to see it through. Will you dream with me? Will you build with me?
We have the tools, we have the passion.
We can be more, we can be much more.
I'm a believer.
We can change the world if we defy the impossible.
We have 3 billion new minds coming online to do that which we must do.
We need to think big, we need to think cheap. We need to think about the problem differently.
Wonder, insight, ideas. It's time for TED.
The miracle of your mind, it's that you can see the world as it isn't. We can imagine the future, we can remember the past. The miracle, imagine the future, remember the past.
Wonder, insight, ideas. It's time for TED.
Our first speaker of the evening is Victoria Wachtopo. Victoria is a Year 13 student at the Academy. She is passionate about law, politics, and sociology with a strong interest in how society and technology impact our future. As a co-founder of an academic podcast, she is no stranger to exploring complex questions concerning legal systems. Bringing that curiosity and keen insight into TEDx, she's here to explore how technology can reshape justice.
The title of Victoria's talk is Redefining Equity in the Age of AI. Victoria challenges us to reimagine justice through the lens of emerging technology. Drawing on personal experience and global insight, she explores how artificial intelligence can tackle long-standing inequities in legal systems, from language barriers and scheduling delays to systemic inaccessibility. Her talk makes a compelling case for using AI not to replace human empathy, but to amplify it. Please welcome on stage Victoria Wachtopo.
systems are founded by the principles of equity and justice, meticulously crafted by the sharpest minds to ensure that everyone is treated fairly and, ideally, leaves in a better position than where they began. They are grounded by the belief that no one is above the law, that we are all equal and should be treated as such. Often, when immigrants move to a new country, they don't speak the language fluently, but they believe in this promise of fairness. But for so many, this promise is never fulfilled. In 2020, the United Nations stated that there are 281 million international immigrants worldwide. That's almost the population of the United States, who navigate systems rarely designed to accommodate their struggles. At what point did these systems intended to uphold fairness become barriers to justice? And how can they be reformed to better serve those that they aim to protect? Let's explore the 3 key issues that have arisen in these legal systems and how the integration of artificial intelligence can help combat them. These long-standing issues are language barriers, scheduling issues, and a lack of accessibility. Language barriers present a twofold challenge: the difficulty of accurately translating information and correctly understanding the complex and technical language often used in laws. Navigating the UK's legal system, for example, can be daunting even to the native English speaker, with a Law Society report stating that 57% of people feel unconfident or confused in the process. When my parents first moved to the West from Eastern Europe, they spoke minimal English. They spent sleepless nights deciphering the complexities of immigration law, all on their own. While tools like Google Translate do provide some assistance, understanding legal language remains accessible only to those with the time and resources available. Interpreters, too, they can be crucial, but their demanding prices and uncertain availability simply create more barriers, leaving many without the support that they need. AI has the potential to transform this process, fundamentally changing the experience of an immigrant. By translating the complex technical language into simple, comprehensible terms, they can make vital information accessible to those without legal expertise. This shift redefines equity, as it allows everyone to understand their rights and the laws that govern them. AI can act as a starting point, a guiding resource to help individuals identify when further assistance may be needed. However, it is crucial to understand the limitations of this technology. For personal matters that require tailored advice, consulting a qualified lawyer remains essential. As AI is still developing, the legal frameworks for data protection or privacy remain underdeveloped, making it safer to entrust your sensitive documents with a licensed professional. The second long-standing issue is scheduling issues. And no, I'm not talking about your personal calendar, but the court's timetable, the schedule that determines when a judge will hear a case. The sheer number of cases and poor organizational practices have resulted in delays that have plagued legal systems worldwide for years. Justice delayed is justice denied. It should alarm you and even enrage you that the 19th century Prime Minister William E. Gladstone's quote remains relevant today. Let me reiterate, justice delayed is justice denied. Delays in the legal system aren't mere administrative setbacks. They uproot lives, causing widespread harm. They prevent legal professionals from serving their clients effectively. Real change can only occur when we rethink our approach to equity. AI can be the catalyst for this change. It can be the missing puzzle piece we so desperately need. Predictive algorithms can help the courts streamline schedules and prioritize urgent cases to help reduce delays. It can handle the time-consuming, repetitive tasks, freeing up professionals' time to focus on what truly matters, connecting with individuals, and ensuring that justice is delivered promptly. The third long-standing issue is a lack of accessibility. To achieve equity in our society, we must have a transparency of knowledge. That's full, unbridled knowledge of processes, procedures, and, as discussed earlier, terminology. But most importantly, it's the awareness of your rights, the resources that are available to you, and where to seek help if needed. Without this clear and accessible information, many are left in situations they never should have faced, unable to advocate for themselves. AI can help guide people, empower them, and drive transformative change. It can answer common questions and even simulate potential outcomes. This develops the individual's grasp of their legal standing and options. AI can also act as a vital bridge, connecting individuals to essential resources, whether that be pro bono legal assistance, community organization, or professional representation if needed. This promotes a more inclusive and just society that values the transparency of knowledge, but also breaking down barriers to accessing legal systems. Redefining equity in the age of AI, it isn't about technology. It's about humanity. Let's demand better, embrace this new innovation responsibly, and ensure that these tools create a world where fairness isn't just an aspiration, but a reality.
Our next speaker is Samiksha Ramesh. Samiksha is a Year 13 student at the Academy with an interest in chemical engineering with a goal of creating accessible and life-changing medicines. She's curious about how we connect and what it means to truly understand one another in a fast-changing world.
The title of Samiksha's talk is Speak in Stickers, How Emojis Are Changing the Way We Connect. Samiksha dives into the playful, poignant, and sometimes perplexing world of visual communication in the digital age. From emojis to memes, she explores how these modern hieroglyphics are transforming our language, bridging generational gaps, and reshaping how we express emotion, humor, and identity. Please welcome on stage Samiksha Ramesh.
To make. I can't text or even email without using emojis. And now they have made their way into my TEDx too. But what if this habit says more about how communication is evolving and what we are changing in the process? Let's face it, language has undergone a major upgrade in the digital era. If you look back at how people communicated 20 or even 30 years ago, you would see paragraphs, really long ones. Now, memes, GIFs, stickers, and emojis are like the digital seasoning to every sentence. Without them, everything just feels bland and incomplete. Welcome to my world, and likely yours too, a world where these visuals are carrying our conversations. We send over 70 billion emojis in a day, and that is a massive number. So, why are emojis and other visuals so prevalent in our conversations? Well, they aren't just there to add flair to your sentences. they serve a much deeper function in how we communicate today. In the digital age, where face-to-face interactions are becoming less frequent, visuals fill a crucial gap. They help recreate the sense of emotional connection that's usually missing when communicating across screens. And the sheer volume of emojis being sent every day points to a fundamental human need: the desire for connection, for shared understanding. In a world where we are increasingly isolated in our own digital bubbles, emojis offer a universal language that transcends linguistic barriers. Yet, the use of emojis also reveals an interesting generational divide. Take the crying emoji, for example. It has different meanings depending on who's using it. For Gen Z, it is used to exaggerate laughter, amplify humor, or to show something that's ironically funny. For my mom, it's tied to sentimental moments, like a heartwarming story or a sad movie. And for my dad, it's used in a more traditional sense, to express genuine sadness over something serious. Same emoji, different contexts, different emotional responses. The generational shift is clear. Visuals are not just evolving, they are deeply embedded in the cultural fabric of every generation. And then there's Gen Alpha, the iPad kids, taking visuals to the next level. They have blended memes, TikToks, and emojis into a dynamic language that's always in flux. For them, visuals are not just tools, they're the language itself, becoming a part of how these generations define themselves. But it's not just the emojis themselves. It's the shortcuts we use to communicate. Ever notice how many times you simply liked a message instead of actually replying? It's convenient, sure. It's like saying, okay, I see you, without needing to engage in a full-on conversation. Is this lazy? Maybe a little bit. But let's not be too harsh on it. Visuals are just shortcuts for us to express everything we feel. Instead of fumbling over words, you can send the perfect meme, and boom, message received. And the reason these visuals work so well? Research from The Guardian shows that visuals are processed faster and retained longer than text, making them powerful tools for communicating complex information succinctly. They have made communication faster and more fun, but they have also shifted the way we engage in conversations. Instead of expressing our thoughts and feelings in full sentences, we send a quick meme, sticker, or emoji. But sometimes it feels like we're cutting corners. So while visuals make our conversations more snappier, we have to ask, at what cost? There are moments that require words, moments that require thought and detail, and no number of emojis or GIFs can replace that. The shift towards brevity begs the question, are we prioritizing speed over sincerity? The way we use visuals in social settings is worlds apart from how we use them professionally. In a group chat with friends, GIFs and emojis are a free-for-all. You are sending random reels, emojis, and memes all day long. It's fun, casual, and honestly the best way to keep up with everyone without needing to write an essay. But visuals can get tricky in professional settings. Imagine getting an email from your teacher, professor, or boss saying you have to submit something tomorrow, and the only response you come up with is this. Yeah, not the vibe you're going for. Overusing visuals in professional or workplace settings can come across as unprofessional or even lazy. You want to sound clear, thoughtful, and serious, and no number of visuals can do that. That said, visuals are starting to creep into professional spaces too. Tools like Slack have introduced custom emojis and reaction buttons, breaking down the rigid communication structures and making workplace communication less formal and more engaging. But let's pause for a moment. Do we really have enough visuals to express everything we feel? Like, yes, we've got memes, stickers, and emojis, but are they really cutting it? There are moments when I'm scrolling through my phone, trying to find the perfect way to react to a sticker my friend sent, and nothing fits. Or it's because I just can't get to their level of using stickers. But this is what makes visual communication so exciting. It's a playground for creativity. Visuals are evolving, but the real question is, are they pushing us forward or are we losing something essential? I think the answer is in the middle. Imagine a future your devices know exactly how you feel. Perfectly adapted meme or adaptive emoji or to express your mood. Exciting? Yes. Scary? Also yes. Are ruining the way we communicate today. But what if it's not decay? What if it's evolution? Language has always adapted to the needs of the moment. From ancient symbols on cave walls to poetry to text messages today. But even as language evolves, our core need hasn't changed. The need to not just be felt, but to be understood. After all, visuals may spice things up, but real connection is the main dish.
Our next speaker is Muhammad Rahim Gilani. Rahim is a Year 11 student at the Academy. Over the years, his journey of learning several languages, including French, Spanish, Arabic, and even Urdu, have opened his eyes to show how complex communication throughout the world truly is. By using his strong leadership and creativity skills, he wishes to share how, because of a new age of advancements and technology, language barriers are beginning to come to an end.
The title of Rahim's talk is No Voice Unheard, Bridging Language Barriers with AI. Rahim takes us on a journey from the vibrant markets of Pakistan to the cutting-edge realms of AI and the metaverse, revealing how real-time translation technologies are transforming the way we communicate. With powerful examples from healthcare, education, and global diplomacy, he explores how these tools are breaking down centuries-old barriers, allowing us to collaborate, connect, and care across cultures. Please welcome on stage Rahim Gilani.
Imagine you've just arrived to Pakistan to visit family. Excited, they take you out to the bustling local market, where the air is thick with the scent of freshly fried samosas. The rhythmic call of vendors echoing through the narrow streets. Carts overflow with vibrant fabrics, exotic spices, and trinkets from every corner of the city. It's mesmerizing, organized chaos. But as you stand there, taking it all in, a realization dawns on you. You don't understand most of what's being said. The words feel familiar, yet distant. Conversations swirl around you, rich with meaning, yet slip through your hands like grains of sand. That was me. In almost every country I visited, including my homeland of Pakistan, I stand there amidst all the chaos, as a foreigner, constantly met with barrier after barrier. And it's not just about me. It's a challenge most of the population faces wherever they travel. But what if this challenge didn't have to exist? What if instead of feeling like an outsider wherever we go, I could fully engage in these conversations, understanding every word, every nuance, every story? Well, we can begin with something called real-time translators. Essentially, apps or devices that translate what is being said into a language of your choosing. Being powered by AI, real-time translators not only translate words, but captures tone, emotion, and cultural context. This ensures that conversations are nuanced and authentic, reducing misunderstandings caused by idioms or subtle emotional cues. Whether it's negotiating a business deal, building friendships, or attending a virtual seminar, these tools enable richer, more meaningful interactions that help create a world where we can truly understand each other, no matter where we come from. For instance, in 2021, the United Nations used real-time AI translation during global summits, enabling diplomats and representatives from over 190 countries to communicate effortlessly. This technology ensures people can contribute ideas without language being a barrier, enabling faster problem solving and more inclusive discussions on critical global issues, such as climate change and pandemic response. This ability to collaborate across languages is changing the way we work, too. Businesses and researchers from all corners of the globe are now able to team up like never before. Thanks to digital platforms with built-in translation tools, I could go to any country in the world and share ideas, brainstorm solutions, and innovate without being held back. Imagine a scientist in Brazil sharing their findings with a researcher in Japan, both speaking their native languages, yet fully understanding each other. In fact, Google Meet has already started to implement this as a feature in their live meetings, allowing people from vast distances to communicate and interact with ease. But the shift isn't just happening in the physical world. It's extending into digital spaces, where the next frontier of human interaction is being built: the metaverse. The metaverse is a collective virtual space or digital platform where people can interact in real time through avatars, explore virtual environments, and even collaborate across distances. Think of it as a fully immersive internet, where physical borders no longer exist. In this expansive, interconnected space, breaking language barriers becomes more important than ever. How exactly could we achieve that? Well, AI-powered real-time translation is at the heart of this transformation, allowing people from diverse linguistic and cultural backgrounds to collaborate effortlessly. By eliminating languages as a hurdle, the metaverse fosters inclusivity and deepens cultural exchange, turning differences into gateways of connection rather than barriers. Nowhere is this more important than in healthcare and crisis response. Picture a doctor treating a patient who doesn't speak the same language. In the past, they may have relied on gestures or written notes to communicate, risking serious misunderstandings. But now, AI-powered medical translation and virtual reality platforms are stepping in to save lives. These tools allow doctors to consult with their patients remotely, enabling accurate diagnosis and treatment plans, regardless of language barriers. In disaster zones, wearable translation devices allow first responders to deliver aid and instructions without delay, ensuring critical support reaches those in need. In moments of crisis like this, when every second counts, technology can make all the difference, overcoming linguistic barriers to protect lives and deliver care. This isn't just happening in hospitals or boardrooms, however. It's happening in classrooms too. Virtual reality is opening up new possibilities for global education. For instance, Madison College in Wisconsin, America, has implemented a new pilot program in its Spanish-speaking classes, utilizing VR headsets to immerse its students in real-world scenarios. Through these VR headsets, students can practice ordering at a Spanish-speaking cafe, navigating a market, or interacting with native speakers within realistic environments. Programs like this show how technology can break language barriers in education, enabling students to connect with different cultures and build experiences that transcend borders. But language learning isn't just about the future. It's also about the past. Just as technology helps bridge gaps today, it also helps uncover how ancient civilizations, thousands of years ago, overcame linguistic challenges of their own. The Indus Valley Script, one of the world's oldest undeciphered writing systems, remains a mystery to historians and archaeologists to this day. But with advancements in AI simulation and virtual reality, we are getting closer than ever to unraveling its secrets. By using AI to analyze patterns in the script and compare them to known languages, researchers are beginning to paint a true picture of what the language could actually mean. Virtual reconstructions of Indus Valley cities, like Mohenjo-daro, allow us to immerse ourselves in the worlds of its daily inhabitants, providing context for symbols carved onto pottery or seals. This technology not only helps us decode the script, but also show how ancient civilizations, such as the Indus Valley, communicated complex ideas across vast distances. But how does this apply to us in our modern world and time? By studying how the Indus Valley overcame linguistic challenges of their own, it helps us draw parallels to our own world, our own time, offering inspirations for new tools to break language barriers and promote cultural unity. The future is uncertain, but one thing is clear: we have the power to shape it. By embracing and committing to these tools, we can break language barriers once and for all and create a more connected world. So the next time you or I stand in the bustling markets of Pakistan, we can ensure that no voice goes unheard, no story untold, and no person disconnected.
Next up, we have Amanda Slavin. Amanda Slavin is an educator, author, and entrepreneur renowned for her work in reimagining engagement in education. With a master's in curriculum and instruction, she co-founded Learning Frequency, a platform that personalizes learning by identifying students' unique engagement styles. Her proprietary 7th level engagement framework, detailed in her best-selling book, The 7th Level, is taught in institutions like Yale and Howard University. Amanda is also the founder of the Future Frequency, a personalized learning ecosystem that leverages AI and evolving avatars to empower learners to own their growth. Her initiatives aim to transform how we define and measure successes in learning. Recognized as one of the most innovative thinkers in education today, Amanda has spoken at major global platforms including South by Southwest, TEDx, and the United Nations. Her work bridges the gap between emotional intelligence and emerging technologies, making her a leading voice in the future of learning.
The title of her talk is There is No Such Thing as a Bad Learner. In her talk, Amanda challenges the idea that some kids just aren't, quote, good learners. Sharing her own story and classroom insights, she introduces a framework that helps students identify what they need to stay engaged and feel seen. In a fast-paced world, she reminds us that learning isn't about compliance. It's about connection, agency, and purpose. This talk is a call to rethink how we support young minds in finding their voice and their spark. Please welcome on stage Amanda Slavin.
I'm Amanda, and I was that kid. High energy, creative, gritty, but most of all, I was labeled one thing on my report card: Amanda talks too much. This was not one report card, this was every report card from preschool until university. If there was an award for most likely to distract the entire class by enthusiastically explaining the assignment to the teacher, I would have taken home the gold every time. I wasn't the teacher's pet as much as I was the teacher's project. High performer, high volume. And I internalized this feedback. I felt that if I could be less, I could be a better learner, a better student, a better human. So when I was studying to become a teacher and was writing my thesis, I did not think about fixing the bad kids, the bad learners. I thought about fixing the kids and working with the kids that felt like they were too much or too little. The ones labeled defiant, distracted, disengaged. I wanted to be able to understand why certain kids were disconnected from learning and how to bring them back in. This had me to adapt a lot of research into a much more functional and practical framework called the 7th level. A process that allows for learners to understand where they fall from totally disengaged to aligned with purpose, and how they can actually move forward. Now, I have tested this theory for 15 years all over the world, from classrooms to boardrooms to kids to global communities. And what I know for sure is there is no such thing as a bad learner. Just learners that are being taught in ways that don't speak their language, don't match their frequency. Now, most of us fall somewhere in the middle of this process: compliant, complacent, confused, following the motions. But when we know where we are, we could move, we could grow. This is not about labeling kids as bad learners or good learners. This is about giving them the tools so that they could say, here is where I am, here is what I need. That's what true engagement really means. Now, learning does not start with content. It starts with clearing space and connection. And when we don't know what stands in the way of learning, we can mislabel protection as defiance. So we scaffold questions for learners. We ask them, this, that, or the other. What do you prefer? What's confusing for you? What's distracting for you? Until we ask the question that's really underneath it all. What is getting in the way of learning right now? I had a little girl in my class, we're going to call her Ditto Girl, and she was a lot like me. She didn't stop talking. It was karma. She was constantly interrupting every single time one of the learners in the class was sharing a story. I tried everything: glitter pens, rewards, incentives. Nothing worked until I stopped trying to fix her. I sat down with her. I said, what is standing in the way of your learning? She wanted to connect with the kids. She wanted them to know that she also had those experiences and those feelings. And so I said, what if instead of interrupting every single time someone speaks, we can do something where we snap our fingers and say ditto, which means I agree. That behavior allowed for her to express herself but not disrupt the entire class. You're not a bad learner, you just crave connection. I had another little girl in my class who was using the word delectable at 6 years old. She had an unbelievable vocabulary, but she was in the lowest reading group and there was a mismatch. And so I asked her, what is standing in the way of your learning right now? And she told me she felt like she had to be perfect. Her brothers were in the highest reading groups, and she didn't know that she couldn't make any mistakes. She didn't know how she would get there. She didn't know how she could excel like her brothers. And I said, what would make this fun? She loved art, and she loved hearts, and so we turned her flashcards into heart cards, put her next to Ditto Girl. She felt connected, she felt seen, and she flourished. You're not a bad learner. You're just unheard or scared or overwhelmed. So, we start with choice, we start with agency. We build towards deeper reflection. We let kids name the barrier. And then we ask, what do you need to move it aside? This is how a meltdown becomes metacognition, knowing how you think, knowing how you learn. Lesson 1, don't correct the behavior, name the barrier, and remind them you're not a bad learner. Once the noise clears, we build, not with more rules, but with more relationship. This is where the 7th level framework comes in. From disengagement to interest and investment, identity and purpose and alignment. We are striving for connection with learning. And in order to get there, once we've cleared the barriers, kids need agency, belonging, tools for reflection, and permission to be seen. Because no one gets to the 7th level, no one gets to alignment with purpose if they feel like I don't matter, like I am a bad learner. So we started to create tools to help learners understand themselves as learners, to reflect. And we call this learning frequency, a learner's unique pattern, what lights them up and what shuts them down. We started to ask questions to continue to build. When do you feel most focused? What helps you feel productive or energized? We had one learner who could not finish her schoolwork no matter what. Her teacher was trying everything. It was so frustrating for the learner and it was frustrating for the teacher. Until we uncovered an insight. It was too loud. When she felt overwhelmed when she didn't have her own space. So we gave her noise-canceling headphones and it shifted almost immediately. You're not a bad learner, you just need quiet time. We had another learner that told us that he felt most focused when he was walking. We allowed for him to pace in a non-disruptive way, and it allowed for him to focus. His test scores significantly increased. You're not a bad learner, you just need movement. You're not a bad learner, you're just distracted. Your uniqueness is what makes you, you. Lesson 2, before you build the learner, clear the noise, let them reflect. We continue to build. We wanted to know, why was this working? So we conducted a longitudinal study over the course of a year, giving learners tools for self-awareness, measuring engagement as a dynamic living process. We found intrinsic motivation increased, test scores significantly increased, teachers changed the way that they thought about learning success. Students who were disengaged, who were bad learners, we were able to reach them. And even the good learners were just doing it for performance. They actually weren't intrinsically motivated. They weren't passionate about learning. We moved from the grown-ups saying, you're not a bad learner, to creating the space for the learner to say, I'm not a bad learner, to creating the space and the tools for the learner to say, I'm not good or bad, I'm me, and I know what I need. That's the 7th level, the sweet spot, where learning goes from functional to meaningful, where learners say, what I'm doing matters, I matter. And at that level, we don't stop. We don't say, good for you, now you love to learn, good luck. We continue to reflect. We ask questions like, what inspires you? What ignites you? What are you most passionate about? My son, who's 5 years old, wants to be a chef. He struggles with reading and writing, and we have tried to get him to read and write, and he is very resistant. He has a lot of agency, if you can't tell. What I learned is that rather than forcing him to do something, I should allow for his joy to guide us. And so I said, why don't we create a cookbook with him? Now he's so inspired and excited to read and write because he gets to learn the ingredients for his favorite meals that he then gets to cook, and his sister gets to cheer him on. Lesson 3. Engagement isn't something you demand, it's something you co-create. And here's the truth that we so often do not speak out loud. Raising a child is hard. Raising a child who sees the world differently, who thinks intensely, who feels deeply, who does not fit in the boxes that have been created, is really hard. Being a self-aware adult, raising a self-aware child, is one of the most beautiful, brilliant, and brutal responsibilities that we could ever have. And often the things that make us feel like bad parents, like bad grown-ups, are the very things that our kids need to see to learn how to be fully human, to struggle, to learn, and to grow. They don't need perfect, they need real. Our kids are going to have meltdowns. They're going to get kicked out of classes. They're going to face limits. That does not make them a bad learner. That does not make us bad parents. That makes them human. That makes us human. And every human is on their own unique, wild, and sacred adventure. It is not on us to create perfection and to shield our children from pain. It is on us to walk alongside them, hold up a mirror, and show them, I see you, I believe in you, let's keep going. And everything changes when we stop telling learners how they are and who they are, and the learner starts to say, I'm not a bad learner, I'm not a good learner, I'm me, and I'm proud of myself. That little girl, chatty, never stopped talking, with big ideas, was not a bad learner. She was just craving connection. And I'm so happy that she never stopped craving connection, because that big voice that didn't know how to quiet down, built companies, built tools, has been on stages globally teaching kids how to connect with themselves and each other, and is on this stage today. When I see kids who are not able to sit still, when I see kids who are disrupting the class, I don't think what's bad, what's wrong. I think, what brilliance are we missing? If you're a parent, start with a choice. If you're a teacher, ask the next question. If you're a learner, trust what lights you up, because there is no such thing as a bad learner. No bad, no good. There is just learning. And I know when we focus on learning about ourselves and learning about each other, we will go so much further together. Thank you.
Up next, we have Avina Huang. Avina became a social media influencer at the age of 13 for speaking all 6 official United Nations languages. Her interest in languages grew from a love for understanding people and cultures. She enjoys studying psychology and history with hopes to one day pursue a career in law. Outside the classroom, Avina is fascinated by filmmaking and figure skating. In her talk, she offers a thoughtful look into both the light and the unseen, darker side of social media attention, what it gives, what it takes, and what it means for young people finding their voice in a digital world.
The title of Avina's talk is The End of the Influencer. Being real is the future of online fame. Avina takes us behind the scenes of going viral at 13 to reveal the hidden toll of internet fame and the unexpected hope in what's coming next. From algorithm anxiety to the emotional burnout of constant performance, she opens up about the high cost of likes and views. But as AI begins to blur the line between real and artificial personas, Avina asks, could authenticity become the most powerful form of influence? Please welcome on stage, Avina Huang.
With viral videos, likes, and followers. But the truth is, the influencer world is evolving. Behind the glamour of golden toilets and private jets lies a world of burnout, pressure, and constant reinvention. But is the spotlight really worth the sacrifice? Let me put it this way. Think of something so unfathomable, so beyond your grasp, that it feels absurd to even consider. It's impossible, right? Because how can you possibly imagine the unimaginable? Yet the very thing I thought would never happen, happened to me. At just 13, I created a social media account with over 100,000 followers, with one of my videos reaching an incredible 8.5 million views. But behind those numbers was a completely different reality. Late nights, relentless effort, and the constant struggle to balance schoolwork with an online presence that demanded my every single moment. Today, I'm here to share my story. From the highs of viral success to the hidden struggles of maintaining it, and my perspective on where the future of influencing is headed. I remember my first viral video. That night, my mom and we were in our pajamas. She was on the couch, I was on the carpet. From the corner of my eye, I saw the notifications flashing. I heard my phone buzzing. And that's when I realized my content had gone viral. I couldn't tear myself away from my phone because of how fast the numbers were going up. From hundreds to thousands, from thousands to tens of thousands, I suddenly felt validated. Like all the hard work I put in was finally paying off. It was incredible to know that my content was resonating with people from all over the world. For a while, everything seemed perfect. Or so I thought. Fast forward to a few months later. The numbers started to change. The engagement dropped. The views went down. Everything slowed down. It was like standing still in a river while everything flowed around me. I began to fear losing momentum and fading away online as fast as I had blown up. At first, I tried to brush it off, telling myself it was just a passing thought. But I had gotten so used to the thrill of social media validation that the sudden silence felt suffocating. I couldn't understand why. I was putting in the same amount of effort and creativity, yet it just wasn't the same. What made it worse was the fact that there was so little I could do. Hoping to make sense of the sudden drop in engagement, I dove into articles trying to figure out what I may have done wrong. The word algorithm kept popping up, making me wonder whether it was some mysterious force that controlled content visibility. When I started learning about algorithms, I quickly realized the word confused didn't even come close to describing how I felt. I came across terms I didn't understand, like A/B testing or engagement rates. They sounded way too fancy for me. I mean, come on. When I first saw engagement rates, I thought, is this how many people get married a year? But no matter how much I read or researched, I couldn't shake the feeling that the internet had its own unwritten rules, prioritizing certain types of content while leaving others to fade away. It wasn't about blame. It was the unpredictability of it all. It was hard never knowing if my next post will be a hit or a miss. At first, the pressure of content creation was entirely self-imposed. I felt like I had to constantly outdo myself and keep up the pace I had unconsciously set. But over time, everyone else's expectations started to get to my head. Each new post, each new video began to feel like a gamble, and what once was my escape, a world where I could create without limits, started to feel overwhelming. As the gap between who I was online and who I was behind the screen grew wider, I found myself questioning whether I could handle the spotlight I had stepped into. And honestly, I hated it. While I appeared like someone who had it all figured out, I was actually somebody who struggled with self-doubt and the emotional toll of balancing passion and the pressure to keep up. It took time, but I did eventually learn that burnout isn't inevitable. By setting boundaries, finding joy beyond metrics, and embracing imperfection, creativity can be reclaimed. Because true fulfillment doesn't come from chasing numbers, but from prioritizing mental health. All right, as unpredictable as the internet can be, It's nothing compared to the changes coming from something that is undeniably shaping our future. Artificial intelligence. What happens when AI can seamlessly create viral videos, mimic human behavior so perfectly, people don't even realize their favorite influencers are actually AI generated? Will the influencer role evolve into something more curatorial or collaborative? The future of influencers might not even center on humans at all. The rise of AI in content creation brings with it an urgent need for transparency, especially when the audience cannot easily tell whether a persona or a piece of content was created by an AI or an actual human. Without clear disclosure, this could be seen as deception, like breaking the trust bond created between the influencer and the people inspired by them. As AI gets more and more recognition in content creation, and brands move towards micro-influencers and community-based marketing, the era of the single, all-powerful influencer could fade. In fact, with AI being so popular among content creation, authenticity online may no longer be just a trend. It could become a requirement. People who are chronically online will start to crave transparency more than ever. With so much AI-generated content created by AI-generated people, the need for something real, something human is only going to grow. Like I mentioned before, this lack of transparency could lead to more than just confusion. It could create a deeper issue. Disconnection. If people start to question whether their favorite influencers are actually AI-generated, the sense of relatability and genuine connection could vanish in an instant. On top of that, the psychological impact of AI influencers projecting perfectly curated and idealized lives could drive viewers, particularly the younger ones, into a constant state of comparison with an unrealistic standard, leading some to feel defeated and unmotivated to pursue with their own goals. At some point, being authentic will be the only way to get people to pay attention. But ironically, we might just end up right where we started. See, as AI gets more and more recognition, the only way to truly stand out could be as simple as being yourself, by being human. But isn't that funny? Because that's exactly where we are right now. As we move forward, the future of influencing will be shaped by the choices we make today. Because the question isn't whether AI will change things, but how it will. Creators, platforms, and audiences must act consciously to ensure authenticity isn't just valued, but actively protected and safeguarded. Together, we must build a digital environment where the voices of being human remains at the heart of it all, and not just as an echo in the algorithms. So, are influencers really no longer wanted? Maybe it's not the influencers who we're tired of, but the pressure, the perfection, and the constant chase for numbers. Whether you're a creator or a consumer, the key is to redirect influence, not as a spotlight to stand under, but as a bridge to understanding and expression. If you're ready to handle this new way of content creating, pick up your phone, post a video, create with purpose, and see you online.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will now take a short 5-minute comfort break. The washrooms are at the back of the auditorium.
Please don't go too far away. We'll restart promptly in 5 minutes.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for our final 4 speakers of the evening. Up next is Holly Douglas. Holly is a year 10 student at the Academy, passionate about the performing arts and music. She believes that creativity and imagination are essential for young people to thrive in a rapidly evolving world. Over the past 5 years studying at drum schools, Holly has actively contributed to various school activities, including supporting lighting and sound for school productions and serving on the student leadership team. Through these experiences, she has developed a strong appreciation for the value of sharing the skills she has gained through the art of performance.
The title of Holly's talk is Beyond the Stage: How Technology is Transforming Performance. Holly invites us into the next act of live performance, where technology breaks down the barriers between artist and audience. From VR and holograms to spatial audio and interactive storytelling, she reveals how immersive tech is revolutionizing theater, dance, and music, turning passive spectators into active participants. Please welcome on stage Holly Douglas.
And wish that you could step on stage, change the story, or become part of the magic? This may sound like science fiction, but it's not. It's the future of performance spaces, and it's already happening. Today, I'm here to talk about how technology is transforming not just the tools we use in dance, theater, and live performances, but how it's changing the very way we experience art. Traditionally, the performing arts have been about separation, the stage and the audience. There is what we call a fourth wall between the performers and the people watching. But with the integration of technology, we are starting to see this wall come down. Let's take VR, for example. VR allows you to step directly into the world of the performance. Imagine putting on a headset and immediately being transported into a fantastical landscape where you can walk around the stage, interact with characters, and even change the direction of the story. But immersive experiences don't just rely on VR. Technologies like enhanced lighting and projection mapping are changing how we can view a performance. Projection mapping allows any artist to turn any surface into a shifting, dynamic backdrop. Imagine the stage being transformed into a moving river, or the walls around you becoming a digital landscape that responds to the actor's movements. The lighting can shift and mold around the performance, enhancing the emotional intensity of the scene. It can create atmospheres that feel alive, breathing with the action happening on stage. These dynamic visuals help to immerse the audience in the experience, making them feel as though they are part of the evolving story. Next, technology is revolutionizing how we engage with the performance itself. Interactive audience participation is one of the most exciting trends in modern theater. No longer is the audience a passive observer. They are becoming part of the show. Imagine a theater where you, the audience member, can influence the storyline through your actions or decisions. You can choose a character's next move, respond to a question posed by the performers, and even walk into different rooms of the set to see the story unfold from a new perspective. And what about reaching people outside the theater? Technology is also breaking down geographical barriers. With live streaming, performances can now reach global audiences in real time. Whether it's the ballet in Paris, a Broadway show in New York, or an intimate concert in London, technology allows anyone, anywhere, to experience the performance as it happens. But it's not just about watching the performance from a distance. It's about connecting to it. With the right digital tools, audiences can chat, interact, and even vote on different aspects of the performance in real time, even from the other side of the world. Virtual set design and 3D modeling have revolutionized theater, breaking the limits of physical space. Designers can now create entire immersive environments fantasy worlds, cities, even outer space that shift dynamically throughout the performance. Stages can instantly transform between location or time period without having to move any physical scenery. This approach saves time and resources while enabling more imaginative and expansive responses than ever before. Of course, no immersive experience is complete without sound, and here, technology has opened up entirely new frontiers. This means that every footstep, every whisper, every beat to the music can feel like it's happening all around you. The sound design isn't just there to serve the story. It pulls you deeper into it, making you feel as though the world of the performance is happening all around you, not just in front of you. Perhaps one of the most exciting uses of technology in the performing arts are holograms and projection performances. These technologies allow you to feature performances from a distance, bring performers back to life, and even create entirely new characters. Imagine attending a concert with a famous singer from decades ago who performs with live musicians, or a Shakespeare play with a projected performance of a character who interacts with the live cast. This fusion of live action and digital projection helps to fully immerse the audience in the experience, making sure physical limitations are no longer a barrier. Finally, technology is making the performing arts more accessible and inclusive through tools such as closed captioning, on-Leo translations, and sign language translations. Innovations such as augmented reality, AR glasses, offer live subtitles and audio translation in real time, ensuring that anyone with a visual or hearing impairment to fully immerse the experience. Interactive technology also enables personalized experiences, ensuring that the arts remain open to all, no matter of their individual challenges. In conclusion, the integration of technology is transforming the way we experience theater, dance, and music. It is breaking down the walls between performers and their audiences, engaging all of our senses. As technology continues to evolve, so will we in the ways we choose to tell our stories. This is the future that we are building, and this is the future that I look forward to.
Our next speaker is Redefining.
Redefining is a student in Year 10 at the Academy. She's a Wellington singing scholar and a committed Lambda student, having completed grades 1 to 6 in acting. With a long-standing passion for the performing arts, she has played an active role in the Academy's music and drama events. Through her TEDx talk, she explores how artificial intelligence is shaping our sense of identity in the modern world. Redefining believes that creativity, self-expression, and storytelling are vital tools for navigating the future.
The title of Redefining's talk is Who's Really Choosing? Reclaiming Control in the Age of AI. Redefining explores the invisible influence of artificial intelligence on our everyday decisions, from the shows we watch to the ideas we believe. With relatable stories and sharp insight, she reveals how personalized algorithms can quietly shape our preferences, limit our growth, and even define our identity. Please welcome on stage Redefining.
Imagine opening Netflix and seeing a show you'd never thought you'd watch, but somehow can't resist clicking. Or scrolling through TikTok and realizing it knows your next move before you do. AI isn't just personalizing, it's predicting. Bill Gates once said, AI can be our friend, If we use it well, it can amplify our intelligence. But what happens when AI isn't just amplifying our intelligence, but shaping our very identity? This is the power of artificial intelligence on our daily lives. These platforms are designed to be convenient, and in many ways, they are. But here's the real question. Are we truly in control of our choices, or are we subtly guided by AI? Let's dive into the power of AI's personalization. Every app we use, from Spotify to Netflix, studies our habits. Spotify's Discover Weekly playlist is an excellent example. It compiles a list of songs that it thinks you'll like based on your previous listening habits, and it's often spot on. For me, there was a week where I was obsessed with upbeat, feel-good music. My entire Discover Weekly became filled with these happy and high-energy tracks. At first, I loved it. It was like the playlist was reading my mind. But after a while, I started to notice something strange. My recommendations became so predictable that I stopped finding anything new. AI was showing me what I liked, but it wasn't introducing me to anything different. This is the double-edged sword of personalization. While AI makes these services feel tailor-made for you, it also creates a bubble around you. Netflix may keep suggesting comedies if that's what you usually watch, but you might never discover that you actually enjoy thought-provoking documentaries or historical dramas. AI is efficient, yes, but it can confine us to a narrow comfort zone. The limitation I just mentioned leads me to an important concept called the filter bubble. This is when the algorithm shows you what it thinks you like, while filtering out everything else. If you dive into TikTok's political content, you might end up watching videos that reinforce only one side of the story. In 2020, researchers from the Technical Institute of Munich found that TikTok users were fed polarized political content within minutes, creating echo chambers that shaped their views without them even realizing. By doing so, TikTok subtly narrows your perspective. What about dance tutorials or discussions on global issues? They're there, but you won't see them unless the algorithm decides it's relevant to you. Here's a story to illustrate this. I remember a time when I got into the rabbit hole of art-related content on TikTok. For weeks, my entire feed was filled with painting techniques, digital art tips, and artist reviews. I really enjoyed it, but I realized I hadn't seen anything outside of that bubble. I had no idea what was trending or what was happening in other parts of the world. The algorithm had put me in a box, and I hadn't even noticed until much later. This isn't about what we consume for fun. It's about how we see the world. By filtering out content, AI limits the range of ideas and experiences we're exposed to. And over time, we may not realize what we're missing. AI doesn't just affect what we watch or what we listen to. It impacts our personal growth. Let's take education as an example. Apps like Duolingo or Khan Academy are great tools for learning. They use AI to adjust the difficulty of lessons based on how well you're doing. While these adjustments seem helpful, it may prevent you from confronting real challenges. I experienced this while using a language learning app. If I got a few answers wrong in a row, the app would adjust itself by giving me simpler phrases to translate. At first, I appreciated the breather, but I realized I wasn't progressing as quickly as I could have. AI in education is helpful, but it is essential that we recognize its limits. AI is only a tool, not a replacement for curiosity or a willingness to push ourselves. If there's one place where AI is particularly powerful, it's social media. Social media platforms are designed to trap you with breadcrumbs of entertainment. The algorithm figures out what you like and shows you more of it. For me, if I've planned to spend 5 minutes on Instagram, but I end up scrolling for an hour, that time didn't feel like a choice. It felt more like a trap. Social media isn't just influencing our choices. It's shaping our attention. So what can we do? AI is everywhere, and we can't avoid it. But what we can do is become more aware of its influence and take back some control over our choices. On Spotify, explore a genre or an artist that you've never heard of. On Netflix, search for a foreign film or a documentary instead of sticking with the trending list. Another way is to turn off features like autoplay. When you disable autoplay on YouTube, it forces you to make a conscious decision about what to watch next. These are small steps, but it helps regain control over your time and attention. Finally, many platforms allow you to reset or tweak the algorithm. For instance, on Spotify, you can reset your listening preferences so that your recommendations don't just reflect on your past habits. These tools exist, but most of us don't use them. Imagine a world where AI expands our horizons instead of shrinking them. A world where it can help us discover new books, learn new skills, and connect with people who think differently from us. But to achieve this, we need to use AI more responsibly. That starts with being curious and intentional. Let's ask ourselves, is this really what I want, or is it just what's easiest? AI is shaping our lives, but we hold the pen to our own story. Let's take back control, challenge ourselves, and make deliberate choices. Because in a world full of algorithm, our humanity is the ultimate decision maker. AI is a powerful tool, but tools are only as good as the hands that wield them. Every day, we make small choices, what to watch, read, or learn. Let's make these decisions intentionally. By stepping out of the comfort zone created by algorithms, we reclaim our ability to grow, connect, and shape AI's future to enrich our lives. The power to choose is ours. Let's use it wisely.
Our next speaker is Barakat Michael Abra, a Year 12 student at the Academy and our head boy. Barakat is passionate about leadership, innovation, and making a lasting impact. He aspires to build businesses that empower people and solve real-world challenges. Today, he explores how small daily choices shape our future and why our generation must take the lead.
The title of Barakat's talk is The Ripple Effect of Digital Habits. Barakat shares a deeply personal and timely reflection on how smartphones and digital habits silently shape our minds, moods, and moments. From endless scrolling to the quiet transformation sparked by mindfulness and boundaries, he explores the ripple effect that our online behaviors create, either building us up or breaking us down. Please welcome on stage our beloved new head boy, Barakat Abra.
Have you ever felt like your mind wasn't your own? Like something else was controlling it? That's how I felt. What started off as harmless scrolling turned to hours lost, time I'll never get back. But what I didn't realize was that every swipe, every scroll wasn't just wasting time. It was creating ripples, changing my habits, my focus, and even my mental health. For me, it all started with my phone. I wasn't in control, as I scrolled endlessly through Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. It felt harmless at first, just a way to pass out the time. But soon, my phone wasn't just a tool. It became my master. I was glued to my phone. I couldn't focus or be productive. My exams came, and I felt like I was studying everything last minute because of my productivity, making me feel stressed, overwhelmed, and regretful. That small habit, checking Instagram before studying, created ripples that reached all the way into my exam results. Multiple neuroscience researchers support the idea that overuse of technology stimulates the brain's reward system, leading to digital addiction. And studies from the National Institute of Mental Health show that this can result in frustration and helplessness when we try to stop. One notification, one quick check, and suddenly your time traveled hours into the future. We've all been there. Every swipe, every scroll, every decision to stay in line creates ripples. For me, those ripples made my phone the master of my time and the master of my fate. What's fascinating, yet terrifying, is how these small actions lead to huge consequences. And I call this the ripple effect of digital habits. And here's the thing, they work both ways. They can either tear us or enhance our lives in ways we didn't realize. It's a 50-50. It makes us or breaks us. But here's the hard part. No adult, no expert, no one I looked up to had gone through this challenge. My parents had their opinions, like blaming my flu on too much phone usage. And when I asked them for advice, all they said was just stop using your phone, as if it was that easy. And while I appreciate their concern, it's not as easy as just stopping. If it were, I wouldn't be seeking advice from them or from resources like ChatGPT. Or they'll say, set some limits, as if I haven't already tried that. But I don't blame them. They don't understand. They're not supposed to understand. They haven't gone through this challenge. We're the first generation navigating this. And while there's no guidebook, we have an opportunity to create one for ourselves and for future generations that come after us, so they won't have to go through the same challenge that we're facing. This guidebook won't just be a physical book. It'll be made of habits, boundaries, and systems we create and share. This is how we pass down the wisdom that we're learning the hard way. But let me take you back to how I felt. I was frustrated and helpless. I knew my time was slipping, but I couldn't stop. I wanted to use my phone to my advantage, but instead it was using me. There were times where I was in the most beautiful places in the world with my family, but I was too engrossed on my phone. I never cherished those moments, making me miss the best opportunities for the best memories of life. One day, I saw my baby brother clutching from my mother's throat, gripping it as if it was treasure. And when my mom tried to take it away, he cried as if his whole world was ending. At that moment, I wasn't just looking at it. I was looking at a smaller version of me, caught in the same current. And that's when it hit me. The ripple effect of digital habits doesn't just stop with us, it carries on. That moment sparked an idea. What if I can implement barrier-proof features that act as boundaries? What if I can set boundaries that act as reminders to confront my habits? It wasn't easy, but I started small. I turned off notifications, set screen time limits, and questioned why I was picking up the phone in the first place. I felt like a constant battle against myself, but with each small action, the ripples began to shift. I started using apps that helped me rather than distracted me. Productivity tools, learning platforms, and even mindfulness apps. I started using technology to help me grow rather than escape. And slowly, I felt free again. I started using apps like Forest to help me stay focused, Notion to organize my life. And by just dedicating 10 minutes to headspace meditation, I enhanced my patience and found clarity in tackling actions. And that's why the smallest shifts matter most. As seen in the Journal of Psychological Science, reducing screen time leads to a 12.3% reduction in anxiety symptoms and 9.5% reduction in depression symptoms amongst teenagers. And I felt this firsthand. Spending less time on my phone gave me more time with my family. I had meaningful conversations with my parents, learning traditions, childhood stories, and stories that will forever stay with me. But here's the point. The ripple effect of digital habits is real. Each decision, whether to scroll mindlessly or spend time meaningfully, creates ripples that not only shape the life you want to live, but truly determine it. As James Clear reminds us in Atomic Habits, you don't rise to the level of your goals, but you fall to the level of your systems. We're the first generation navigating this. We have the power to choose what type of ripples to create, not just for ourselves, but for future generations that come after us. So start small. Go to your settings and turn off notifications of apps that don't require immediate attention. Because every buzz is a ripple. Choose the ones that are truly worth your time. Ask yourself, next time you pick up your phone, why am I doing this? That small moment of mindfulness can break the autopilot. Because every digital decision is a ripple. Choose the ones that truly shape the life you want to live. So I'll leave you with this. Take back your time. Take back your attention. And take back your power.
We've all heard the increasingly used trendy term, the Internet of Things, and how game-changing it's going to be as we extend sensors, miniature sensors, into everyday objects. Everyday objects will start to give us real-time feedback, and the world essentially will come alive. This is the Internet of Things. But what if we evolved the term a little further? What if instead of the Internet of Things, we enter the realm of the intelligence of things? The intelligence of things is where the Internet of Things meets artificial intelligence, because the future of artificial intelligence is senseless unless we extend it into the world of everyday objects. This idea that as we impregnate intelligence into the world of physical things that we inhabit, the world essentially will come alive. This real-time feedback, this interface that will become enlivened with intelligence will essentially will birth a world that will increasingly talk back to us. Now, how this will change human subjectivity, how this will change the human condition, the space of mind in which we dwell, is in the following way. Increasingly, we'll dovetail our minds to the world, right? And as the world starts talking back, the distinction between self and world will start to disappear. The external space, the external world will increasingly start to feel like an extension of our mind, like an extension of our agency, which will bleed over into a world of predictability, a world that will know what we want before we want it, a world of serendipity, a world in which you look for something, you find something else, and you realize that what you found was more conducive to your needs than what you thought you were looking for. We're talking about a world optimized for human creativity and human enterprise, a world that is responsive, a world that is alive, a world that is intelligent. As I imagine, so it becomes, and this is the very essence of magic. Now, you're pumping all this data, you're pumping all this AI into sensors, into the world of everyday objects, and again, you birth the world, the intelligence of things. The mind will have fully turned itself inside out. We will be inhabiting the condensation of human imagination. The nodes in our brain, the neurons will have spilled out into the world. We will cloak the planet in mind and data. This, my friends, is a singularity of mind and meaning. When everything becomes linked with everything else, matter becomes mind. This is the intelligence of things.
We are approaching the end of our series of talks. Our last speaker of the evening is Ms. Rasha Hijazi. Rasha is a visionary educator and director of Arabic and Islamic Studies at GEMS Wellington Academy Al Khail in Dubai. With over 15 years of experience, she leads Arabic language innovation across FS to Year 13, designing inclusive curricula and pioneering AI integration in language education. A passionate advocate for student-centered learning, Rasha empowers teachers, students, and parents to embrace technology as a tool for transformation. Her leadership was recently praised as the strongest Arabic and Islamic leadership ever seen in a Dubai private school.
The title of our talk is Teaching Tomorrow: How AI is Transforming Arabic Language Learning. Rasha takes us inside the classroom of a future, where artificial intelligence isn't replacing teachers, but reimagining how Arabic is taught and learned. Through heartfelt stories, humor, and real success cases, she shows how AI tools can personalize learning, build confidence, and empower both students and educators. Please welcome on stage, Rasha Hijazi.
Take you a few years back when I first met a student, her name Sarah. Sarah was struggling with Arabic, even though she was putting a lot of effort and doing her best. The language was too difficult for her. She lost her motivation. She wouldn't pronounce the words correctly. Her grammar was all over the place, and she felt disconnected from the lesson. One day, she looked at me and asked me, why Arabic is so hard for me when I'm doing good at everything else? That question stayed with me. Arabic is a beautiful language, rich in history and meanings, but for many learners, it feels like a wall they just cannot climb. That was true for Sarah and others, and I knew it. I had to do something. What changed was the approach. I stopped focusing what she couldn't do, and I started focusing what might work for her. I broke the language for achievable steps. I used visuals, reading code strategy, and real-life application to bring Arabic to life. For the first time, she discovered her place with the language. Most importantly, I listen, I pay attention to what each student is struggling with, and I adapt my teaching. I remind myself daily, if the child cannot learn the way we teach, then we must teach the way they learn. Sarah's journey reminds me there is no student bad in Arabic. They just need the right support. And as a teacher, that's my mission, to find that support, that strategy, that breakthrough moment, and never give up until I find the right way. Then came a turning point. I introduced AI tools with a real-time feedback, personalized lesson, and self-paced practice. Confident, slowly retained. That one thing Sarah had been missing. She began to believe in herself again. She started to participate, made a fewer mistakes, but most important, she smiled when she speaks Arabic. AI gave her the support that she needed to learn at her own pace. What once felt impossible became possible. That's the power of AI, and that's what I would like to explore with you today. When I first heard about AI, I was a little bit nervous, so I asked ChatGPT, "Can you help me to teach Arabic better?" Then it's replied, "Only if you promise me you will not replace me with a human." Then I knew it, AI had a personality. When I started exploring AI, I had so many questions, like everyone else. What is it? How can I use it? Is it safe? Can I apply it in my classroom? So I decided to explore. I'm not someone who gives up easily. I face challenge no matter what it takes. I'm a risk taker. I do things others might not do. I'm also resilient, always pushing myself for the next level. That's who I am. So I accepted the challenge, started digging deeper, tried different AI tools, did my own research. And even though I attended 2 AI conferences, one of them focused especially in Arabic language. Through that journey, I discovered AI isn't just for experts. It is for educators, parents, and learners too. Picture this, a classroom where every student learning Arabic has a personal tutor by their side 24/7, adapting to their needs. But what if that tutoring was not a human, but an AI app? AI isn't here to replace teacher. It is here to transform the way we are teaching Arabic. Imagine every student has the right tools to learn Arabic, a phenomenal and one of the most challenging language. AI can turn that vision to reality. Let me share with you a story of one of our students at GEMS Wellington, Khail. Her name is Lisa. She joined at year 6, totally beginner, never ever learned Arabic before. She started at level 1 with the AI tool support and her teacher support. She mastered all the 28 letters with their sounds in less than a week. In the beginning of term 2, she moved to level 2. After 2 years later, she achieved level 4. Usually level takes other students 4 to 5 years to achieve it. But her journey didn't stop here. In year 10, she chose Arabic B as one of her GCSE options and became one of my students. In the end of year 11, she achieved a grade 8 at Arabic B GCSE, an outstanding achievement for someone who started as beginner. This is not an example, it's a true story. AI isn't just accelerate Lisa's progress, it's give her the confidence to take ownership of her learning. Her journey is a powerful example. AI isn't here to replace teacher, it is here to empower them. One day, I asked AI, "Can you help me to plan a lesson?" I gave clear instructions and requested different exercises according to student level. Then it's responded faster than I could finish my coffee. Funny other colleagues who never ask for a break. AI help us to save time and effort. Exactly what each teacher is looking for. AI improve the quality of questions and the way we assessing students. AI identify learning gaps and suggest suitable resources and speed up our work. We are not just teaching Arabic, we are empowering students. The blending of AI in Arabic education isn't just an enrichment or an upgrade, it is transformation. It builds confidence, pushes boundaries, and empowers students to exceed their own expectations as they wish and want to achieve. AI creates a world where learning Arabic becomes a journey of joy, challenge, and discovery, exactly what each one of us hope to our children and students. The question now no longer whether AI is belong in education. It is how we use it wisely, how we shape the futures of Arabic using AI. Guided by the vision of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, AI will soon be integrated as a core subject across all grades in the UAE, starting from the new academic year 2025-2026. The time to adopt AI is now. AI isn't just part of our present, it is foundation of our children's futures. Thank you.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of today's conference. We hope you found the talks today both thought-provoking and inspiring. The videos of today's talks will be available online in due course for you to view online.
Before you guys leave, we'd like to invite our principal, Mr. Campbell Douglas, to say a few words. Please welcome on stage Mr. Campbell Douglas.
Good evening, everyone. I feel the need to say that I've only ever had a beard once in my life, and it was for about 3 weeks, so I'm not quite sure how that photo makes it onto every single slide we have this year at school. Thanks, Rohan, for that. Hi, everyone. It's my absolute privilege to be able to invited to say a few closing words this evening. And as I say every year, this is the most nerve-wracking speech I have to give because I have to follow those amazing speakers. And I think we would all agree that tonight we have heard things that are nothing short of astounding. Each individual's interpretation of the digital mindscape has been fascinating to hear. But what has really stood out for me tonight is the conviction and the passion that each student has spoken with for their area of interest. Whether it be the performing arts, language barriers, or connection, it's clear that each speaker has this total understanding in their area of expertise. And if we had these students in charge of our future, then I think we can all agree that the world is going to be in safe hands. My heartfelt congratulations to all the speakers that we heard tonight. A fantastic effort. Of course, events like this don't happen without people behind the scenes, so I want to acknowledge our amazing community members that have been here working behind the scenes to make this happen. To our IT team, to Atworth and Bridget, thanks for the hours given to make this run smoothly. To our operations team, thank you for all your logistical organisation and ensuring that our facilities are at the standard that they are. Finally, however, I want to acknowledge the organiser of the event, Mr. Rohan Roberts. Rohan has worked tirelessly over the last few months to ensure this event was a huge success. He's coordinated staff and students, and this event, Rohan, is definitely a WEC legacy, and it's great to have it every year in our calendar. So thank you for all that you do. So that brings us to the end, everyone. Thank you so much for coming, and we hope to see you back here next year. Thank you very much.
I'm feeling my heart beating with the rhythm of her body slowly moves. I love this feeling. Yeah. Well, I can't deny it. She turns me on, I can't control this burning